my lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing absolutely amazing. Now today we are talking hen do's and bachelorettes, because the first bank holiday of May I was on my friend Danielle's hen do and I was part of the team organising it. So I thought it'd be a good idea to do a little video of the things that we found that worked really well and the things that we found that didn't, and things that surprised us while we were planning, and just a general video of things that you can take advice from and ideas from if you're someone that is planning a hen do for someone else, or if you're a bride-to-be who's planning your own hen do. Hopefully these ideas or points that I'm saying to try and avoid will help you with the planning process, because it can be quite difficult to plan, especially if you have quite a large group to plan for. So just a little overview of who was planning the hen do and the plan for the weekend, so you get the idea of the kind of hen do that we had. So myself, I'm a bridesmaid, there was another bridesmaid, the mother of the groom and the mother of the bride. That was the team of 4 who was organising the hen do, and we were put together months and months and months ago to begin organising the hen do, and all together going on this hen do there was 14 of us. So the bride had obviously told us the kind of hen do that she wanted. She wanted a city hen do, drinking, bottomless brunchy, that kind of vibe. So we had an idea of what the bride wanted, and we ended up going to Manchester for the weekend and having 2 nights out in 2 different areas of Manchester, and then organising a couple of different events whilst we're there in Manchester. So that is the brief overview of the hen do weekend. Very, very brief, but it gives you the idea of the kind of weekend that we ended up with. So my first point is something that worked really well was having a little team of 4 to do the main plan of the hen do, because although we did eventually get involved, the whole group, for the hen do, it was a lot easier to sort out the finer points and finer details with the team of 4 rather than getting everybody involved, because there's just too many people, too many ideas, and it gets in the way when you're planning the big things such as accommodation, travel, activities, things like that. It just gets in the way. So having a small team that the bride has chosen to be the main planners of the hen do really helped. Allowed us just to get the main structure of the hen do sorted for us then to get all the rest of the girls that were invited involved in planning some other details. So that really did work well. The next thing that we did that worked really well, and we actually got this from one of our previous hen do's, so mine and Danielle's mutual friend actually had a hen do last November, and her mum, who was organising it, put together a payment plan so people would pay monthly the amount totaling for the activities that were booked and the accommodation and travel. We added that all together and divided it by, I think it was 6 months, so people had 6 smaller amounts to pay rather than getting to like a week before the hen do and people having to pay. It also meant that we had the money available to pay for the things that we'd booked rather than it coming from our own pocket. It meant that we had sufficient funds to cover things like the accommodation and travel, because they are large expenses, so you want to make sure that you've got enough money in the bank to be able to pay for those things up front. In terms of transport, we did contact and look at coaches, because I know one of Danielle's friends, who was also coming on the hen do, had booked a coach for her hen do to get them to the location. We did get in contact with a few companies, but it didn't end up any cheaper, so we decided we would book trains. And one thing with Trainline is you can only book 8 tickets at a time, and we wanted to make sure we were all together. So the mother of the groom actually got in touch with a load of individual train companies, you know, such as like, well, we have like Hull Trains because we're from Hull, but she contacted like a load of companies that are not local, nothing to do with the trains we were even catching, but to find a company that would book all of the tickets we needed in one go, so we're all together. So that worked really well. Didn't have to worry about having to book 8 and then booking the rest on top, which you would have to do if you just went through Trainline or a majority of the companies. So it is worth giving all the train companies a ring or an email and just seeing what they can do for you and how many people they can book at once, rather than having to split people up. So obviously, alongside having booked activities, which we did cocktail making and cupcake decorating, We also got in touch with bars to see what we could book in advance. Now this, I would definitely recommend researching bars if you're going to a city that you haven't been before, because we were going to Manchester. I've been once for a hen do, but it was a while ago and I wasn't sure of the cities, like bars or clubs or anything like that, or if they had any special bars that we'd want to go to. So in advance we did have a look. One of them that I found was the Wash House, which I'm really glad I did find, because you can only go to there if you book. And say for example we'd got to Manchester and then been told about it, we wouldn't have been able to get in because it's booking only. So I'm really glad that we managed to get that booked in advance. But there is quite a lot of places that you can book, so just do your research, pick out a few bars, get an idea of what areas of a city you want to go to, because if you haven't been before, it is worth just seeing where the bars are, because if you're booking accommodation that is miles away from where you want to be, you know, you're gonna have to sort of accommodate for travel time to and from the bars, whether you're walking, public transport, Ubers, you know, you're gonna have to accommodate for that travel time if you're planning like activities back to back. So just bear that in mind, do your research, see if there's places you can book. But saying that, we didn't like book everywhere, because some of them had really strict rules, such as they wanted a £50 per person deposit for a booking because we're such a large group. Some places wanted a first round order paying for in advance, and we decided not to book those kind of places because, you know, we're already taking a lot of early money from people, you know, for the accommodation, for the activities, and it just kept getting ridiculous. Like, we'd already added on bottomless brunch and food after cocktail making, so it just seemed really unfair to keep adding on expenses for unnecessary reasons. And quite frankly, if you're going to a bar, you know, a few bars into the evening, you don't know, you know, if you're ordering it now, by the time you get there you might not want that drink anyway. So we didn't really like that, so we didn't bother doing that, and we didn't really have a trouble getting in anywhere. You know, it wasn't a case of places were too full or anything. So I definitely say it's just more for the unique bars such as the Wash House, which are bookings only, that you do need to just have a little research and see if you can find any of them, because like I said, the last thing you want to do is get there, really want to go there, and be unable to get in. One thing that I really liked that we did was an itinerary. Now, some people might not like the idea of this because they might think you don't need to be like strict on timings and stuff like that. But for us, as a little team, we found it really useful to be able to just give everyone the itineraries so they knew when to be ready, what times things were booked, you know, when we're doing what. I don't know, I just find it better when I know exactly when to be ready, because I'm a bit of a panicker. For example, if I didn't know what we're doing during the day, I'd be panicked that I wouldn't be ready in time, or that I wouldn't have my makeup done in time, and that kind of thing. So I don't know, that was kind of coming from that standpoint. It was just easier to let the weekend flow when everyone knew, you know, timings, what we're doing when, what to wear. For example, for the cupcake making, we had personalised t-shirts made. One of the girls from the hen do, she does a company called Inky Apparel. I will drop the link below. I mean, they're doing really well for themselves on TikTok. This is not an ad, this is literally just one of my friend's businesses. So yeah, she was also on the hen do. She very kindly did personalised t-shirts for all of us. So that was the type of thing that we also put on the itinerary, just saying, you know, cupcake making, make sure you're wearing your personalised t-shirt, so that everyone knew to have it on ready for that activity. It just helped give a bit of a structure to the weekend. And I'm not gonna lie there, me and Danielle were sharing a room, probably a bad idea because neither of us are good at timekeeping, neither of us are early people, we're very late people, very unorganised by the looks of it, and we were probably the last ones ready for everything. But you know what, everyone was really chill about it, thank God, because we definitely were late a lot of times. Another idea that we had as a little group was to do some icebreaker games on the train. Now, this would have worked perfectly if there wasn't cancellations on the day that we went. Now, we'd had it in planned, we'd come up with a couple of train ideas. One was Two Truths and a Lie, and another one was Drink If, which the mother of the groom had literally printed out loads of like drink ifs and put them in a bag and everything, but we just didn't get time to play them on the train, which, you know, it's inevitable, things happen. It wasn't the end of the world, but you know, it would have been nice to have played them so everyone got to know each other, because obviously you're going in with a group of girls that pretty much, you know, there's not someone that knows everyone, everyone doesn't know someone, and it's just nice to get to know each other. So if you are traveling as a group, we thought it is a nice idea to plan some icebreaker games just so everyone can get to know each other a little better, and it's just nice to have something to do like that, especially if you're traveling for a few hours like we were. But yeah, I'm gutted that we didn't get a chance to do them. I think we did play actually the drink if game at the wash house, so at least we did get to play it, but it would have been nice if we'd been able to play it as a group on the train, but cancellations just had other ideas. Another thing that reacted really well was the bride wanted one of the nights to be a themed night, so we decided with our little group that the best idea would be to get everyone involved in picking the theme so that it was something that everyone would be able to do. So we did a poll in the group chat so that everyone could vote, and we came up with a theme that everyone was happy with, and that worked really well. And we also got the group involved by asking them for game ideas, asking them for any ideas, bar ideas, that type of thing, because although we, you know, booked and planned the major parts as the group of 4, you know, we still wanted everyone's input. You know, people had great ideas, so we still wanted to speak to everyone and get everyone's ideas, and like I say, have their input as much as possible, getting involved with the weekend as much as, you know, they wanted to. So yeah, doing polls and getting people's ideas in the group chat was really good, and hopefully everyone felt involved when we did that. And another thing that we did that went down really well was the gift bags. So I know this is quite common for people to do, but I just thought I'd give you a little idea of the things that we had in the gift bags. So we had things like flip-flops for walking around like the apartment and stuff like that. We had little lip glosses that said like Team Hen or Team Bride. A little chocolate bar. We had a selfie card like game that we told on the itinerary to bring out on like the second night. We had dare cards that we told people to bring out on the first night on the itinerary. We put personalised sashes in there. We put the personalised t-shirts in there. A little water bottle with little like personalised, what's it called? Like the paper that goes around it. We took that off and put like a personalised one on. You know, like scrunchies, beauty blenders, make a little pen and some pretty packs of tissues, hand sanitizer. You know, we had like quite a bit in that, so they went down really well, and I think the girls really enjoyed getting them, and they were also in little personalised bags as well. And as you can tell, yes, the bride really loves personalised things, so we tried our best to do as much personalised items as we possibly could. Like I say, the friend that owns the business Inky Apparel helped a lot with the personalisation, and so did one of our other friends, Beth, who also has a little personalisation machine. So yeah, thank you guys for doing them, because I think the bride really loved it. Now on to the things that we could have potentially changed, or that maybe we could have done better. One of the things was probably starting flying earlier. Now we did book, I think, the accommodation, or at least started sorting out the accommodation in October, and the hen do was the very end of April, so like the bank holiday weekend, the first May bank holiday. So that's like a good 6 months that we started planning it, but I think maybe we should have done like the activities a little bit earlier, because I don't know, it's hard because obviously you need to have enough money in the bank to be able to put down a deposit for the activities, but at the same time you also want to get things booked as early as possible. So my advice would be just get things booked as early as you can. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say we changed the way we did it, because we got everything booked what we wanted to book. Like, it never, you know, we got the activities we wanted and we got them when we wanted and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, especially if you're a larger group, like we were 14 people, so some places it was trickier to get bookings because of the large number. So if you're any bigger than 14, you know, I'd probably say plan as early as you can. Like I say, we started 6 months before the hen do, so just keep that in mind. And as well, that links with the payment plan, because you need to sort of get an idea of how much the accommodation, travel and activities are going to cost, so that you can get people on a payment plan. So you do need to get planning like well in advance. So that kind of links in with my next point of limitations of being a hen do, and I think everyone should be aware of this because we didn't really think about it. So it didn't really affect us as much when we were actually in Manchester. So the only time that we couldn't get in somewhere because of being a hen do was one bar and that was because the Love Island winner and runner-up from this year were going. So we entered the queue exactly the same time as them, and literally some of the hens have like a picture with them and stuff. It may have been to do with them going in the queue rather than us being a hen do, because like I say, we didn't have the problem of us being a hen do at any other bar, but the security guard that was working the queue did say we couldn't go in because of our sashes and stuff. So just be aware that there may be potential times that you won't get in because you're a hen do group. You can't really plan for that, but it's just something to be aware of in advance. But like I say, we literally only encountered it that one time, and I think it did have more to do with the fact that people were coming in from Love Island rather than us dressed in sashes, because we weren't dressed in anything ridiculous. So we just had like normal going out clothes on, and the bride had like a crown and a veil, a personalised veil and stuff. So, you know, it wasn't a case of we were dressed like chickens or something ridiculous like that. But in saying that, there's also limitations when it comes to booking things now. I kind of touched on this already, but like I said, some places you're going to, obviously when you're now researching the bars that you're potentially going to, you're going to encounter when you're messaging them, seeing if you can book places, them coming back going, you know, we're going to need a £50 deposit per person for you to make this booking. You know, you're going to need to pay, say, £300 to be able to close off an area because of the being a large group, which, you know, I never asked in the booking to have an area cut off, but they'll make you pay it because you're a large group. You know, you're going to have to do your first round. You're going to have to buy like 3 bottles of champagne, you know, when it's starting at £100 per bottle, so that's like a couple of £100 already. Yeah, you're going to encounter things like that, and it's just to be aware of it if you're a big like hen do group. But in saying that, it didn't actually have any repercussions on us at the actual hen do. Like, we didn't struggle to get in anywhere, you know, we were just let in. There was no issues. So yeah, just bear that in mind, that you know, you will face those issues, but don't let them worry you, because like I said, it doesn't end up actually affecting your weekend whatsoever. And the final thing that I'll just say is try not to let the delays and things like that stress you out, because obviously we had an itinerary, but things just happened in ways that caused delays and meant that we couldn't do the things that we'd planned to do at certain times. So for example, the train delays getting there, we were supposed to have like 2 hours when we got to the apartments, and during that time we'd booked a food order, which in itself is its own advice. If you're going to stay for a weekend somewhere, get a food order delivery rather than going out and buying things. It means that you can get everything on the food order, things like mixer, you know, crisps, snacks, breakfast stuff, and then it can get delivered and you can just put it in, you know, the fridges or whatever. But anyway, that's a little bonus point in its own. But yeah, so we had 2 hours to get ready, put this food shop away, and you know, have a few pre-drinks. Because of the delays, I think we literally ended up with like 45 minutes having to like quickly get ready, quickly put the food away. We couldn't then do like pre-drinks or anything, or get a group photo. It's just mental. And then we were straight to the first activity, which was cocktail making. And then the next day we'd planned to do some games in the morning when we're having breakfast. We'd done like a continental breakfast, you know, croissants, stuff like that. We'd planned to do some games such as Mr. and Mrs, where we'd got the groom to record answers and play that, but people just weren't ready. And I say people, I do mean, you know, me and the bride, at least, you know, the main person, the bride, wasn't ready. Not just her, there were, like, myself, I wasn't ready, you know, other people weren't ready, and it just ended up we didn't get time to do it. And then when we got to the cupcake making, we had a wonderful time, but it did overrun. So the time that we'd had planned between cupcake making and bottomless brunch, I think again it was an hour or so gap that we were supposed to have in the apartments, ended up being like half an hour. And in that time people were supposed to get changed for the night, because obviously we're wearing the personalised t-shirts for the cupcake making, so we're going to get changed for the night for bottomless and for a night out and play How Well Do You Know the Bride. But we just didn't get a chance to play that because again because we only had the half an hour. So it's just sort of, don't stress yourself out if things overrun. Like, you know, it's inevitable. You can't plan for every situation or delays or overruns. Just go with the flow, do what you can, and that's all you can do. I mean, it is a shame we didn't get to play those games, but we did, I think, play the Mr. and Mrs. on the Monday morning before we left. But, you know, it'd have been nice to play a couple of the other games that we'd have planned, but it is what it is. Overall, it was a lovely weekend, but it does go so fast. Like, I have never known a weekend go so fast. That is probably the fastest weekend I've ever had. But it was lovely, and I think everyone had a nice time. I think the bride really had a nice time. So yeah, I hope that video has given you some ideas of things to do and things to try and avoid doing, and just things to not worry about, because if this is the first time that you've planned a hen do or a bachelorette, like, it can be pretty stressful. And, you know, if you're anything like me, where you're a perfectionist and you want things to go exactly right, and yeah, you really take things to heart and you really just want everything to be perfect. But even if it's not perfect, you know, the bride's still gonna love it. Like, she's really appreciative of everyone's efforts, you know what I mean? Even though we didn't get to do this or do that we planned, like, she still really appreciated it. So yeah, don't stress too much, and just to have a good time and let your hair down. Enjoy it as much as everyone else. Like, you've done all the planning, enjoy it when you get there. But yeah, I hope that's helped. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope that video has given you some advice or some tips, and yeah, I hope to see you here for my next video.